I think we're good to go. There we go.
Awesome.
All right, so let's just open up. Firstly, everyone, this is not financial advice, and I'm not a financial advisor. Welcome back with me, Scoriox, and today I have a very special guest with me, of course, the ultimate Kieran Warwick. He is one of the co-founders of Illuvium, and he's been doing an awesome job. Illuvium is going to be, in my opinion, one of the best crypto games of all time, as well as probably it's going to revolutionize a lot of the gaming industry as well. And I'm really excited to see what happens. So just firstly, did you want to introduce yourself a little bit, Kieran, and talk about kind of like what sort of games maybe you draw the most inspiration from when you're coming into Illuvium?
Yeah, for me, and thank you so much for having me on. I actually wasn't aware that it was going to be live. They're always a lot more fun. So hopefully we can get some comments coming through a little bit later with some questions that people want answers for.
Yeah, definitely.
But for me, I guess the inspiration, I mean, I've said it a million times before, but a lot of it comes from Pokemon. And, that was my original thing, build some sort of a Pokemon-esque game on the blockchain. It was obviously never, it was never going to turn into something that was, that had this much substance, but it just is what it is. But yeah, Pokemon, Teamfight Tactics has probably been the most played game for me in the past decade. I got pretty addicted to that back like 5 or 6 years ago, and so that's kind of why you see the two genres blend together in what Illuvium is, because we were the three brothers that are running the project. We're all very big fans. I think the only one who isn't but is starting to be is Grant. And it's been since we've seen the training grounds open up, it's been a real eye-opener, because it's not quite a PvP battle where you can understand all of the different synergies and affinities that you can create for your composition, but it gives you enough of a taste that when you're looking at it, you're kind of like, Jesus, this can actually compete with the likes of a TFT, forgetting all of the other play to earn elements and whatever. So yeah, I would say those two games, but then pretty much World of Warcraft, EverQuest, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. There are lots of games out there and lots of companies trying to get into this space as well. So yeah, I really hope that this can go the way I'm expecting, and I know your team is expecting as well. And there's lots in the works, and I'm just very excited. Let's put it that way. So
to be honest, we've got a lot of pessimists on our team. Like a lot of you hear from me all of the time, right? And even to a certain extent, Aaron is a bit of a pessimist, and he looks at things, it's half empty. I can't look at something without it being half full. Otherwise, it doesn't exist to me, so while yes, it is a true statement that the team hopes that this is going to be successful, there's a lot of people that have their doubts even internally as well, just purely because it's so cutting edge what we're doing.
Yeah, definitely understandable. I think we just need to see it in action, and I think we'll all have a better idea. I mean,
yeah,
even if it has a slow run up, I still expect it to do amazing things in the future. It's not really about being incredible straight away, even though it probably will be. But yeah, there's lots of ways to look at it. So there is one question that's been on my mind since I first started looking at this project. If that doesn't sound weird, but can you tell me how you're trying to build genuine connections between the Illuvials and the person playing the game? So I'm coming from a Pokemon perspective, where when Pokemon first launched, that was quite a big factor. It was about trying to create this ecosystem for the Pokemon, and then trying to build a connection between you and the Pokemon that made you want to play it more and things like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting, right? When you go back and you look through, a lot of that came from, and the reason I know this is because of so many debates that I had with Aaron early on, with him saying, you keep on saying that you need the characters to invoke this psychology of collecting, right? Like you need, like, for some reason, like the character must just create this magical thing that makes people go, I need it. And I'm like, yes, that is exactly what I'm talking about. And he made me sort of go into all of the different reasons of why I think that exists in Pokemon. And, we're talking 20 years ago now. And a lot of it was around the TV show. That was when the lore was able to be applied in a way that was more engaging than just on the Game Boy. And obviously it was still littered throughout. There was still a journey that you go on, and it's the exact same in Illuvium. You're going to figure out what happened on this mysterious planet. How did these alluvials? Sorry, for some reason my Siri keeps on popping up. But yeah, if you want to go on a journey and figure out, there's things like journals which you'll uncover, and that will give you more idea about the lore and the characters and how they all exist. But it's going to be a long form process, and every single alluvial has a bio, and you'll be able to see that in the Illuviary when that launches. And so that's going to give you a little bit more background about what type of alluvial it is, where you're most likely to see it roaming around, and why it's roaming around that place. And that's when you'll find that people pick up little personality traits and little things here and there. I like the color of that one. I like that he doesn't, get along with Earth alluvials because of this event or whatever it might be. I made sure early on that there was a ton of lore inbuilt into the characters, because that is the only way that you're really going to garner that want and need from the audience to go, I don't care what it takes. I just have to have it.
Yeah, that's really interesting, because that was actually probably one of the most memorable things I had from League of Legends. Every single character, there were so many, they're all so different, but every single one had its backstory. This was way before they even considered making something like Arcane, the TV show. And that was super awesome. And you could see how they all intermingled. And I'm really happy to hear that you guys have included that from day one. And I think that's really awesome. So I know V2 is, let's say, close. How long after its completion do you think Land in Illuvitars will kind of kick off?
So it's a tough one, and the reason it's tough to answer is it's built, it's where it's going to be placed, essentially. And we're in like the very, very final stages of discussions with IMX, being Immutable, the layer 2 that we're looking to launch on. And we're like very, very, very close to having the ability for not to have the actual sale of Illuvitars and Land on L1, but to have the assets actually minted already in Immutable. So you're not going to have to pay the bridging fees from Ethereum to layer 2.
Yeah, that'll definitely be really good. I think once everything is on Immutable, we'll just everyone will kind of forget that they were waiting for the game at all. It'll just be like, the game's here, we're playing it.
I mean, I've got my own thoughts now. Like, it's gone so far. Like, I used to wake up in the middle of the night, and it's kind of my job to make sure that the token price keeps on going north, right? But after, we're doing absolutely everything we can from a building standpoint, from a marketing standpoint. We're kind of in a bit of a tough gray zone and whatever, but we're pushing as hard as we can here to get this thing out. And I'm not so worried about that token price anymore, because at the end of the day, when someone when this gets in your hands, that's when you deem the value of the product, right?
Yeah.
Like it kind of, all the shit up until then goes away, you know, the exploit, all of that kind of stuff. It's all in the past. It's like, did you make a good game or not? And if you made a good game, you're going to flock a whole bunch of players. You're going to generate a whole bunch of revenue. The token price is going to go where it's going to go, right? If you don't make a good game, doesn't matter anyway. The token price is probably going to dwindle down to nothing, you know. And then we go back to the drawing board. We go to one of the other games that Aaron has designed, and we build that, and hopefully we get more traction and so on. But yeah,
that's awesome. I mean, the token has moved a lot, but the whole market moves a lot. So it's just going to be what it is. And it has an exciting future, if you ask me. And I'm sure a lot of people believe that, especially in the chat. If that's what you're in it for, that's what you're in it for. And that's personally, when I go about investing, I've always been about investing in the team. You don't really invest in a project. And I truly believe in your team. And I hope you know that you're doing a very good job. And most people can see that. Well, pretty much everyone can see that. I think you should congratulate yourself every now and then as well. So
I congratulate my team, not me. I just got back from Mexico. I'm nobody.
Everyone needs a rest. Can you explain the alluvial's bonding curve and how it helps maintain scarcity? I know there's a lot of questions in the community and in the Discord regarding this. I know it's been answered a few times, but could you kind of give us a bit more insight into that?
Yeah, sure. So it basically, it's a way for us to keep the characters somewhat scarce. And so the simple way of thinking about it is, when someone goes and finds the first Ramfire, it's going to be 10 times harder to find it the next time. Then it's going to be 100 times harder. Then it's going to be 1,000 times harder. Then 10,000. Then 100,000. Then 1,000,000. Then 10, 100, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it's not a perfect system in order to, keep peak premium value in the assets. However, it's a system that's scalable, and it's a system that doesn't have the same type of inflation as if you were able to continually breed them out. And the reason is we stop each bonding curve at the end of each set. And so if we continued the bonding curve, then yes, sure, you get at the end in 10 years time, there's going to be 10,000 Ramfires, and they're going to be worth fuck all, right? It's just economics. If you go out there and you say, okay, in the first 12 months, there were 1 million players, and all of that subset of players gained access to Squiz, and maybe 5% of those DAUs actually caught a Ramfire, and so therefore, there's X amount out there in the system. Then we go ahead and pull every single alluvial in that Genesis set. You've got a situation where in year 2 to say year 5, where we onboard an additional 10 million, 50 million players, I don't even know, they don't have access to Ramfire. And if you think about it, right, there's going to be people that come from, Bitcoin, they come to their Ethereum whales and whatever, they catch on to it. Maybe they played an auto battler in the mainstream that they catch on to. They jump into our game, and immediately they're going to go, well, what's this OG Ramfire? I need to go and buy that. It's the equivalent of sweeping the floor, except imagine the every time you sweep the floor, that it's going up in value, but we're not adding any additional characters into that set. And so the price is obviously going to keep on inflating.
Yeah. I think it's one thing that you're definitely doing well. I'm most excited for the competitive side of Illuvium. I know some others are, some love the overworld and things like that, but the whole competitive scene and how you've built like quite a proper strategy game, I think is going to play into this so much, because you're right. In 2 or 3 years, a Ramfire might be a part of the meta team. And if you want to be at 100%. The top tier, maybe it will be really helpful to have one. And even better, you can use a RAM fee as a RAM fire, which also helps eliminate that whole barrier to entry type thing as well. And I think it's just really, really good.
Yeah, just quickly before we move on that, like if we want to talk about fusing as well, fusing is the opposite to breeding, right? In the sense that you need to take three things and fuse them into one. In the sense of breeding, you're taking multiple things and you're turning them into additional, right? Now, with us, if everyone that's holding a RAM fee wants to get up to a RAM fire, and they don't necessarily want to do it through going to the hardest, going through the entire overworld where you find the RAM fires, which they're in the hardest to find regions. They're super, super rare. They require tons and tons of hours. He might just go, well, I'm going to go through the route of getting the tier 1 and the tier 2 version of it. The stage 1 and stage 2 version of it. I'm then going to merge my way up. And in doing so, you're removing a massive amount of the RAM fees that are there. So not only do we have bonding curves that finish and you'll never be able to capture those characters again. And as you say, they're going to be useful in battle later on in the years to come. But additionally, you've got people who are sitting on those assets, and every now and again, they're fusing. So they're becoming more and more scarce as you go along, to the point where unfortunately, you can't they can't go extinct due to the amount of the numbers that we have in the system, but you can literally get down to a single alluvial left out of a set. If everyone in who owned one decided to fuse them up, which is pretty cool.
Yes, very. I'd like to see that one day. I don't know if that will ever happen, but that would be really crazy. I don't think it will either,
but yeah.
I would clip this, right? I would clip this and upload it. So we're going to jump onto Illuvitars now. Just really quickly, just what separates Illuvitars from the other PFP projects? I know you're really excited for it, and I've seen a lot of sentiment shift in the Discord from being super excited for land sale to being excited for both Illuvitars and land sale. I remember a time when it was announced and Illuvitars, no one really knew what they were. But what really separates them from the other projects?
Well, firstly, the reason there wasn't much hype is because I was a bit disheartened at the reaction that I got from my co-workers, put it that way. I was up against the wall. I had to get Roger to come on board, right, with the idea. Now the trouble is, I'm working with people who are getting to know the crypto space, but they're not fully immersed in this. And I saw the PFP opportunity as something that just made sense to us, purely from the standpoint of, one day I thought to myself, what am I going to use as my PFP in the game, right? And then I thought to myself, okay, everyone should have a PFP. And then I thought, why don't we just make these PFPs? We would, make a bunch of money. Everyone loves making money in Illuvium because, as they know, it doesn't go to some centralized entity. It goes back to the people who are staked. So we should be trying to make as much money as possible. And Roger, on the other hand, was kind of like, this seems like a whole bunch of work for not much, result and whatever. And finally, I got him over the line. And then once he started seeing the artists really come up with the different concepts that they are and the different assets and drawings and portraits and whatever, he started getting really excited, and he started pinging me, and he's like, dude, look at this Illuvitar. And I was like, fuck. Then I started getting really excited. And yeah, when I get excited, I guess I try and resonate that through the Discord and everyone gets excited. But the reason why I'm excited is a very similar, it's a more aggressive setup to the alluvial Genesis set bonding curves, right? In the sense that these guys have really pushed hard to get this Genesis set out, or it's not even a Genesis set. Like the entire 150 Illuvitars is what you would classify as the Genesis.
Mhm.
But this initial set has genuinely taken them about 2.5 months, right, to get to this point, and they're just about complete now. They're doing a few other accessories, but they're pretty much complete. That is really exciting because what it means is we will only allow the portraits to be minted for a certain amount of time. And it basically is going to come down to how quickly we can build the second set. And if it's a success, I would expect us to probably put a little bit more resources onto Illuvitars. We literally built a new team because they just didn't believe in it. They were like, build your own team outside of get the hell away from us. And if it works, and we'll double down. So we're kind of at that stage now. But that, if you're in game and some dude has this squiz, which has got a bunch of accessories that have also been, that have also gone obsolete, and he's jumping all over you, doing taunts and stuff when he beats you in PvP, that's just going to piss you off so much, right? And I think I try and relate it back to me, right? And I'm like, God damn it. Who are these guys that have these OG Illuvitars like profile photo? I want that, but I can't get it, right? Anything in crypto where you say to someone you can't get it, they will start doing everything they can in their mind to try and obtain whatever it is you're keeping from them. Right. And so, I just think they're super cool. The artwork that has gone into this, I guarantee you, is like the PFP projects are really upping their game right now. And I'm loving a lot of the artwork that is coming out from them. But we've literally got a team of 7 concept artists that are working, not full-time on it, but probably I'd say 4 that are working literally full-time on this, hand drawing every single accessory. If an accessory doesn't fit a certain Illuvitar, they have to go and manually modify that so it does fit. If it completely looks ridiculous, then it's taken out of that set. Then you need to bring in another accessory. And so there's so many different variables and combinations that you can get. And the thing that I really like that is a little bit unique is that when you buy your accessories or when you win your accessories, if it's in the overworld or a tournament or whatever, if you want to apply it to your Illuvitar, it's bonded for life, right? You can never take that off. And I think that increases the scarcity. It means that people can't just take off their accessories and remake something that's somehow got popular for whatever reason. And I think with the amount of players that we're going to have coming streaming in, with the way that it works, that you can mint one for free, we're really encouraging. There shouldn't be a reason why, like, you're literally going to have a blank box in as your game avatar. If you don't, we're not allowing you to upload your own image, right? It's an Illuvitar or nothing. Right. So that utility alone, it's kind of like, do you want to be some blank dude like everyone else, or do you just want to go and mint your Illuvitar? So that's kind of why.
Yeah, it's super interesting. And I think that is another thing I noticed with the project is that between alluvial fusion and bonding accessories, there are, let's say, variations on burn mechanics already built into the Illuvium system. And I noticed a lot of things, especially like Axie Infinity, that have added burning as an afterthought because obviously they've had some troubles with overinflation, saturation, and things like that. So it's always nice to see that these things have been thought of, and I know that they've been thought of really early too, which shows a lot of foresight.
Yeah, the bonding curve issue. I remember. I don't even. Sorry, the Siri again. But the bonding curve issue we sat on for like 2 weeks, and we're like, fuck, even that, right? Like, not having, like, Aaron was racking his brain going like, what are we gonna do? And like it can't just be infinite. We can't just have the same characters infinitely out there. And I didn't even know really what I was saying at the time. I was just like, just stop the bonding curve, create new characters. And it was like, shit, okay, that could work. And now we've taken that and we've applied it to Illuvitars, and we'll probably apply it to as much stuff as we can. So obviously it's the hard way out, right? Like when we had this discussion, you got to remember when we had 0 artists, we had 0 core contributors. And when you're sitting here and you're like, yeah, but we'll just, build another 150 set so we can just stop this one. Aaron was kind of like, well, I like where your head's at, but that's like, we can't just do that. You know what I mean? But the reality is we're here now. So I don't know.
Yeah. Going for biggest studio in the world, maybe one day.
That's it. Wouldn't go for anything less.
So now we're going to move on to Illuvium Zero. Less so the land sale, but the Illuvium Zero mini game, which isn't really a mini game anymore. So how long do you think it might take to build up your Illuvium Zero land to its maximum potential, or can it really reach that? Or like how do you see the earning kind of working in terms of you need to build up the land, but you also want to earn and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it really depends how much money you have, right? There's 2 ways of going about it. There's the slow way, which means not using any of the speed ups. And we're trying to literally integrate this into the app stores. So it's literally an in-app purchase, very, very easy to do. And yeah, you can get these speed ups, which would effectively mean you're building your research center. Instead of that taking 5 hours, it's going to take 5 minutes. You know what I mean? So that's one way. The other way is obviously, getting the resources, using the buildings that you so you gain all the elements that you can. You start building the different buildings that are out there. You can build different stuff that is obviously going to increase your production of the different types of fuel. You can build things like converters. So if you have a ton more elements instead of fuel on your site, at a certain stage, you'll get up to a point where you can actually build a converter and start converting your elements into fuel. Fuel, if you so happen to want to do that, you might want to keep your elements and just sell them into the pool. But the key there is you have the freedom. It doesn't really matter where you end up and what type of land that you get. It basically only dictates the amount of production that you're going to be able to get out of it. You're still able to scan for blueprints. You're still able to build a research center, which enables you to get like the recipes and the skins for things to build in the main game. But it's all about basically production based on the tiers, how much fuel you can get out of it. And as a basic rule, what we're saying to landowners is you should probably get your portion of 5% of the revenue generated out of the main game, which we think is pretty cool, right? But again, council governed. These are all parameters that can be changed. They're configurables, and yeah, it's something that the council will have to go through. To answer your question, it's a hard one to answer. The main reason is because I don't know, but like a general like thereabouts is if it was going to take you 6 months and you sat there spending tons and tons of money on speed ups, you might get there in like 2 to 3 weeks. So it's definitely. It's definitely pay to play in this one. And obviously there's a free version of it. You can learn how to play it. But because we're talking about real world dollars here being extracted from the Illuvium ecosystem, it needs to be a situation where it's pay to play. If you buy a higher tier land, you're going to produce more fuel. That's just simply how it works.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I knew that there were in-game purchases, but I didn't really know how far they went. So yeah, thank you for answering that.
The,
But could yeah.
Sorry, just to add on to that,
No.
the other reason I can't answer it is we're potentially going to continue expanding it, which is a conversation that came up in the last couple of weeks, or I should say a conversation that I became privy to in the last 2 weeks. There's generally a lot of underground talk before things raise to the surface like this. But yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to adding additional scope to it, but I think, you know, we need to get it out first and then see what people think. You know, people might go, this is just dog shit. Remember, Illuvium Zero was only created as a way to appease people while the main game is being built. And so if people just go, you know what, this whole idea is, and we don't think it's going to happen, but if they do, then, you know, so be it. But I truly believe with Illuvium Zero, that's going to be, think of Illuvium as the gamers that are going to be consuming the assets that a lot of the scholarship players are going to be generating. I feel like they're going to be out in the overworld doing the, you know, 15-hour days, grinding and grinding, trying to earn. And I'm just being realistic. Like it, just literally being realistic. I think they're going to be, you know, farming as many assets as possible. The guilds are certainly, you know, that's their strategy to get them out there. Then you're going to have these North Americans and Koreans and Chinese and whatever that come in, and they're going to go either like, fuck going into the overworld. I just, you know, I can't be bothered. I'm not going to spend hours grinding to get my Ramfire. They're the ones that are used to playing TFT, and you literally can just choose whatever character you want, right? There's no waiting or anything. And so I think that there's going to be those, you know, real mainstream gamers that are just coming in and playing TFT and buying up the assets on the marketplace that a lot of these scholarship owners are going to generate. And I think that's going to be a really good system. And on top of that, I think having Illuvium Zero be a mobile game, that's probably where they're going to flock to as well, because, you know, you can get scholarships, you can play immediately, you don't need really good hardware, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely. I'm excited to see it. I don't think it'll really be my big thing, but I'm very excited to see it. I'm definitely going to be trying to pick up some land as well. So could you tell us a little bit more about the blueprints in Illuvium Zero? Like, I don't really know them particularly well. Do they have something to do with the skins or something else?
Yeah, so it's all about the skins. So you basically so there's a process where you need to build a scanner. That it's basically a blueprint scanner. And so the idea is every now and again an alluvial is going to come scurrying past your land, right? And ideally you've built the blueprint scanner on your land. If you keep it away from buildings, it's going to be more effective. So there's like little nuances like that you need to know about. And yeah, so you ideally want to put it on like the edge of your land. And so it's away from all the other buildings. There's no interference. An alluvial scurries on by. It's got a slightly different skin than something else than what the main Ramfire looks like. Might have a slightly different orange or whatever, or it might be a Santa Claus. Who the fuck knows? But you scan and you pick up that blueprint. Now that doesn't give you access to the NFT and literally being able to go into the main game and mint it. You then need to go to the research center. The research center is like a fairly deep level building. It's is my understanding, and probably Johnny's looking at this going like, no, it's not. It's, you can build it in like the first 10 minutes. But I think it's pretty deep in. There's a bunch of other stuff that you need to build before that. But you get your research center, and then you take your scan of your blueprint and you put it into the research center and you say, hey guys, get to work on this blueprint. I want to be able to, I need the recipe so I can, or the whatever you want to call it, so I can go and build this weapon or this Santa Claus skin that I just scanned, and then you can do one of two things, right? You can take that ingredients list that you have or whatever, and you can sell it to someone, right? And it might never even exist, right? You have the power over whether or not that skin exists. And until someone else has a Santa Claus ramfire running past their land, you're not going to be able to, no one else is going to be able to replicate that skin. You might not even like that skin, and people can literally see the skin sitting in your OpenSea or in your Illuvidex or whatever, and they're like, dude, come on, man, can you just sell me that skin? And it's like, no, I'm not giving you the recipe. Now, once the recipe's out, that's when you can go and build go and mine for the appropriate ingredients to go and actually make the thing. So if you keep that hidden from everyone, then there's no Santa Claus until you decide, which is like another cool thing where your ownership of something really has an effect, because you can choose whether or not it gets introduced into the system or not.
So with the recipe, can you create let's not say infinite, but do you need to get this recipe and take it to the research center every single time you want to create a Santa Claus ramfire?
No. So then that gives you the recipe, right? So that gives you, scan the blueprint, you do the research on it, and you go, okay, in order to create the Santa Claus skin, it's going to take some hydron, some boron, whatever the different elements are that are required. It might be 5 ingredients, depending on the tier of the skin or the weapon that you're trying to produce. But it gives you it gives you the ingredients that you need in order to go and mine for those things, and then effectively it allows other players to go out. Then the recipe is a known recipe, and you can go in and make it however you want. Whether or not we're going to go to the stage of and I think we will in the Illuviary, where we have once a recipe is found, and we have this similar thing in Illuvium, where the first person to find a Ramfire or a Squiz or any of the Illuvials is literally their name is imprinted, or their wallet is imprinted in the Illuviary forever. And so maybe we have something like that, where once someone applies a recipe for the first time, it's found, and then it's in the Illuviary, and then other people can go and go, okay, now I know how to actually create the Santa Claus skin. I'm going to go and do that.
That is crazy to wrap my head around. I'm definitely going to be rewatching this it's a lot, but I'm very, very excited for that whole side of things. Will those blueprints be exclusive to the type of land you own? Do you need some of the... No. Okay, so
no.
You can find a Ramfire skin if you've got a land that's based in the water area.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I mean, likewise, it should be like it is in Illuvium. If you're in a region that is mainly fire alluvials, the chances of getting a Ramfire are much higher than, say, in the Halicon Sea or whatever like that. Is it still theoretically possible? Yes, but your chances are much, much, much lower. Whether or not they've I mean, we like to keep things unison, so I'd assume that is the case. But yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you. So I have one last Illuvium Zero question before we jump into a short Q&A for the people watching, which is quite a few now. So thanks everyone for watching. I really appreciate you coming. My last question kind of focuses around mega cities, and I'm not sure how much you know around this sort of stuff, but my big question is that there's a lot of contention in the Discord that to have a mega city, one wallet needs to own every single plot in, say, a 3x3 area. Do you know how mega cities might work with guilds and things? Do you know how it might be organized?
If anyone tells you they know how that's going to work, they're lying, because that was pretty much my only input to the game design, was that we have this ability to build megacities, and that's about as far as I've gone with it. The reason is because I'm probably better off getting Aaron to flesh out the full design of how that's actually going to work. I'm generally just the dude who comes up with the base idea, and then it's fully fleshed out. But yeah, it's definitely, it's an expansion. So people shouldn't even I mean, like, I guess it does sort of matter in which land you choose to purchase. There can be some advantages there, but we're talking about a thing that's a maybe down the track. And again, I would caveat that with the fact that I did come up with it, so I'm probably going to be pushing for it massively. So if you are factoring in that it is going to happen, it probably will. But again, we're talking like expansion, like we're talking, 9 months away, 12 months away. I don't know.
Cool. That's awesome, because I know a lot of people have been looking for clarity on that sort of stuff. So I'm really glad. We kind of know what's happening there, and definitely looking forwards. I can see it being really awesome, but it's good to know that we don't have to overly stress about the land sale and like trying to get all these plots and stuff like that. So
it's more an afterthought thing. Like you don't really like. It's so hard to get the different the way that the sale is set up. It's going to be so hard to try and actually get land plots that are all very, very close to each other, that it's more it's more like an aftermarket thing. And it's more so for the smaller guys out there that just so happen to, you get into this situation where someone goes, okay, well, I bought 200 plots, like I'm going to do. And I'm going to go, wow, magically I found like 3 or 4 that are, really, really close to each other. I was somehow able to time it and I got there. But then I've got 3 guys that are sitting in between my cluster. And I'm like, okay, now I need to work on these guys. And it might be that they don't have 200 lands like I do, and they don't have the capital that I do. And so they're sitting there and they're like, but I also know you do, right? Because I can see the owner of X, Y, T, U land over here is you. And you want to buy my land. So that's interesting. And we're going to have to negotiate. And I'm telling you, you're going to meet people who don't necessarily have a mountain of money, but they just love the game so much, and they're just going to say no. And you're going to, so that's going to, I think the biggest thing to sort of be aware of in terms of that is that at some stage there's going to be massive whales out there that are looking to snipe your land. And you just need to be, as the general user out there, my advice to you is just be smart with what you do, because these things can get up in value very, very high. And if someone is looking to get a mega city put together, it's going to be a big deal. So if you're the one blocking that, just be smart. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. I think it's really exciting. I know a lot of people can see that you've gamified every single aspect of Illuvium Zero, everything. We'll see how it pans out, but it's really exciting that you can choose the way that you play, which is something not many crypto games and not many games in general really focus on nowadays. I'm really excited to test the waters in all these sorts of areas. It's going to be awesome. So we're going to switch it over to Q&A for a little bit now, if you don't mind. So the first question I'm looking at here is from Garfoodle.
I think I know that guy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure
he says that since Meta and Microsoft, who bought Blizzard, are building up their roots and are putting heaps of money into the metaverse, how will Illuvium fit along with giants like that?
It's interesting, right? It's the question on everyone's minds. How quickly I've literally got a draft tweet that sort of thread that touches on this. But the fact is, to these guys aren't building, or to my knowledge, they're not building a title that has integrated DeFi elements. And that's the secret here, right? Like, that's the secret sauce, is GameFi in itself, allowing, you know, the additional elements that DeFi brings, and having them integrated from the ground up is the difference. And I mean, Jesus Christ, like, for me personally, to learn crypto again and the DeFi space, and enough to get, you know, and I'm still learning every single day. It's of course I am. Like, it's ridiculous how much, you know, information there is to process. But A, I don't think they're building already. B, we're just psychopaths, and the fact that we said that we'll build a AAA game in 18 months is almost laughable. From, you know, if you said that to any studio in the top 10, they would literally look at you and just start laughing. And so it takes a lot of time, like 3+ years, for them to even have a title that's ready to be launched. And so what I'm realizing every single day, it's kind of crazy. We should be getting, it should be eroding my anxiety of are we going to be adopted? You know, will people actually come across? You know, is this going to happen? But I'm kind of getting further and further away from that, and I'm like, we're so early now in my thoughts that, like, it could be 5 years before we see a mainstream AAA studio launch something in this space, like, legit. And think about, where are we at in crypto in 5 years? Like, I don't even know. It's insane. So where does Illuvium fit into that? Illuvium is no doubt 100% going to be the first AAA blockchain game that is ever launched, right? That is going to be its claim to fame, right? And we want to position Illuvium, the main game, very similarly to how Blizzard positioned themselves with World of Warcraft. You've got that anchor game that everyone has played once, and once in their life they've picked up World of Warcraft or whatever. And if you're a gamer, you're probably in that boat. That's what we want when you go into play to earn gaming. If you've made the switch over, you've tried Illuvium. And whether that's because we have first mover advantage over the other studios, or that's just because genuinely we've literally built a game that you would rather play over different auto battlers, different games like a Pokemon and whatever. If we solve that, then there's multiple reasons for people to want to play Illuvium. And yeah, that's so we're not worried at all. In fact, I would actually at this point rather there be a couple of them in here, because I've seen our product now and I'm not scared whatsoever of the competition having, a better product, or, something that we can't even get close to, which I would imagine a lot of teams in blockchain would be, worried about.
Yeah. I never really thought about it from that perspective you just said, with the whole World of Warcraft and trying Illuvium first and things like that. And I think you're going to it's going to be really good, because you're going to set a really high bar as well. Once they've tried Illuvium, why would they want to go back to, let's say, not Illuvium? I don't want to throw shade to any projects out there, but it'll be like that.
It will. And my hope, and this is why when I first came onto the scene, people were, pretty harsh on me, because I was pretty harsh on the space and where we're at. I'm not against good games coming into this space. I'm just a realist, right? And I just tell it how it is. And so when I looked at the space and there was nothing, I went, okay, this is a huge opportunity. Now that I'm here, I don't want people going, oh, I love auto battlers, but there isn't, I need to go back to the mainstream to play my Call of Duty so I can get my FPS in for the day, and then actually there's no, you know, MOBA game, or there's no, I want a game that is really, really good quality, that has an awesome team building it, and you know, whoever that is, I don't care what it is, right? But I want the products to exist inside the metaverse, right? In this space. And the reason is because I want to keep people in this space. We should be trying absolutely everything we can to fill every genre of game possible, to make sure that people don't have any reason to go back. That's when we hit mainstream adoption. And that's why I'm sitting here and I'm now being like ultra realistic. And I'm like, well, fuck, what if that isn't until like 2025 or 26 or 27 even? Like, that's probably realistic.
Yeah. I think there's a long way to go for crypto in general, but it gets bigger every year, and we can just look forward to the next year. That's all we can really do. So another question I have here is from Kyler Herman, and I thought this one was quite interesting. He said, could you see a Pokemon Go style game where you catch alluvials in the real world in the future?
Yes. So I to put it simply, I can see a lot of things. I have a lot of ideas. There's a lot of things that we want to do. There's a lot of things that Aaron wants to do, that Johnny wants to do, that Grant wants to do. But at the end of the day, we need to stick to the mission right now. In terms of AI, AR use, it's obviously in the back of our minds. The success of Pokemon Go was, you know, incredible. And so would we want to, and if you think about that, I use that example a lot. You see people climbing on top of bridges, like risking their lives to try and capture something that is owned on a server essentially that they don't even have access to if they wanted to. You know what I mean? They're literally they're risking their lives capturing these things. What if I just tapped that guy on the shoulder and said, hey, there's actually another game over here, and you actually will own the assets on that? And now, obviously, I'm not sitting here trying to compare the IP of Pokemon to us. Hopefully we get there, you know, in 2 decades time ourselves. But, you know, the mechanics behind it, what we can control, is all there. And so yeah, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, that does sound like a lot of fun. I did love Pokemon Go back in its time, for sure. I've got another question here from W Samar. He says to ask you to expand on the IMX protocol on Ethereum and how other games and in the Illuvium ecosystem and things can integrate with other games and the marketplace. This question's a bit messy, but basically, once you expand kind of on like how IMX works, and if you think maybe it'll translate to other marketplaces like OpenSea and maybe even the Coinbase NFT marketplace and stuff in the future, can you give us a little bit of like insight onto how that works?
I'm trying to work out, is it more like, is the question more around like interoperable assets?
I think so, yeah.
So to be honest, I think interoperable assets are amazing, right? They're an awesome thing, but we're so far away from that, and the amount of collaboration that it takes to get, like, there's so many problems there that arise when you start thinking about taking someone's asset that has all sorts of different metadata and attributes and whatever. You know, you can't just take your fucking Pikachu and put it into, swap out your Ronaldo in FIFA. You know what I mean? Like, we're just like, it's just not there right now. If somehow EA was talking to Niantic and they were able to collaborate and it was on the blockchain, and they were able to say, okay, when that player ports in that asset, we're going to modify the Pikachu assets of like hit is 10 to like run or whatever. Like, you could do a mapping of some sort to make that happen. but it's just it actually takes away from the narrative of what we're trying to build here. It's bullshit. It's this idea of every single thing inside of crypto is interoperable, and you've got your bases running around in the Illuvium world, and it's just like it's never going to happen. And what it's actually doing is it's taking away from this narrative that we're building here, which is a very powerful narrative. And the reason is because people in the mainstream know how ridiculous that is. Crypto people, they jump onto a buzzword, a theme, a type of protocol and whatever, and they're like all in. They're closing their ears to any information. We've got to understand that we're dealing with people that have been gaming for 20, 30 years. They build their own games. So all of these kinds of things. And when you hit them with the concept of interoperable assets, and they come back to you with something as ridiculous as I just came up with, which is the Ronaldo Pikachu analogy, they're going to say, go fuck yourself. I'm not playing your shitty games over there. You guys are living in fairyland with your magical tokens and your magical assets that can be played in any game possible. It just builds on that. It makes it easier for them to dismiss us. And I think as a whole, the entire space needs to just settle the fuck down on interoperable assets. Like, yes, the IMX marketplace will allow other games to be able to buy and sell their assets inside that marketplace, but it doesn't mean that anything that goes on IMX is all of a sudden usable inside Illuvium. If that was the question.
Yeah, definitely. I think also I've seen a lot of comparisons in all the GameFi spaces to Ready Player One. And obviously it's quite an unrealistic take on the metaverse. I mean, maybe we hit that in 5 decades. It's not going to be in my lifetime, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen while I'm alive, I don't think. Let's put it that way.
No.
Yeah. So I got one last question for you, because I've seen this one posted in the chat a little bit at the start of our conversation as well. Is that it comes from Oren Pinkes, and he asks that, will the emotes be static, or will they be like a GIF or a vivid emote similar to like Fortnite or like TFT to a degree and things like that?
It'll be similar to TFT to start off with.
Okay.
So it's not going to be animated to start off with. It'll just be a static image, but it's a decent idea. I like it. Roger and the animation team probably aren't going to like it, but yeah, it's maybe that's a series that we could do. Where you have animated emotes. I don't know. Anything's possible. Get in and use your tokens to and talk to your council member to get an IIP up is what I say.
I think anything as an extra flex is big in any game space.
Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
So I wanted to say a big thank you for joining me again today. Huge thanks. It's been an honor. I've loved all the answers to my questions and you fielding them all for me and taking your time out of your day and your busy schedule to do all this for me. So I really appreciate it. No
worries. As I said, you guys are literally the backbone to our marketing initiatives. A lot of people laugh and say, why do you go on a YouTube channel that might only have 10,000 subscribers or whatever it is, or even less than that? And the reason is because you guys matter. You guys have a seriously large influence. And, I don't care about using that word, and people are like, no, don't call us that, whatever. Like, at the end of the day, if you're influencing a good product, which we feel like we're building, then we want to align with you guys, whether you have 1,000 subscribers or you have, 1 million subscribers. So I thank you. I really, really appreciate you having me on. And hopefully your audience got something out of it.
Yeah. And again, a big thanks to everyone in the chat, everyone for liking the video, watching, sticking with me and Kieran on this one. I appreciate all the supports and all the questions for that Q&A as well. All right. Have a good one, guys.
Cheers, guys. Bye.